Hi, this is First Team Analytics, and we're going to demo one of our products we refer to as the Team and Opposition Analysis app. This is going to be demoed on our Serie A data. We typically work with NCAA Division I men's and women's teams, but for the purposes of this demo, it's just going to be related to Serie A. So imagine you're either a head coach, front office, or just an interested party in what's going on with AC Milan. So you could be, part of their team, or you could be the opposition scouting their team. First, in this app, we just show sort of the goals trend over the course of the season, as well as the expected goals. You see that they're scoring more goals than they were expected to score. Over here on the right, we have our expected threat trend for the past for the season. Expected threat, if you're not familiar with the expected threat, you can Google that, and there's a great article explainer in The Athletic about what expected threat's all about. As we scroll down our dashboard, and this is what we refer to as the team analysis part of the dashboard, we see our play style wheel. This just breaks down how AC Milan's doing in various phases of the game. We've categorized these phases as attacking, defending, finishing, possession, and pressing. As you scroll over each, you get a little bit more information. So you see their defensive duels rate, air duels rate, expected goals per game, etc. All of these metrics here are customizable. So if, for example, you're a team that values additional metrics in, say, the pressing phase of the game, we can work with you to display those metrics as well. Play style table is just a table showing the same information that's in the wheel. Again, this whatever your game model is, we're happy to work with you to create the game model that fits your team. Over here on the right, we have a bunch of different statistics. So we break them down, as most people are going to do, into the offensive, passing, defensive, and goalkeeping phases of the game. And you just see that, for example, if we break it down into passing, you see over here, this is sorted by the expected threat. One thing that we do in addition is we show sort of the overall team shape. So we look at the last 5 games, we look at the season and where they tend to be positioned throughout their games. One thing that you should note is that the color of these circles, we do a lot with expected threat, and you see that they're most threatening here on the outside, on both sides. Over here we have our pass clustering. This is something that we put in, we think is particularly useful. It shows sort of your typical passes that result in, by default, it's on goals, but we also have it for shots. So if you toggle with the shots, you're going to see a lot more arrows. The thick arrows that you see are the average arrow for a particular cluster, so they tend to work the ball down the left side, cross it in, and then they have a lot of passes coming from the right as well. This sort of matches what we saw over here, where they're really threatening up the left side. Over here, so as we're scrolling down, we have our chances created. So this is going to be all of the passes that Milan makes, moving left to right. So we could look at passes start, passes end, and these are we could look at key passes, which is a Y Scout term. If you're not familiar with the key passes, you can look those up. Shot assists, and if you're not. So that's where the passes end. If we look at where they start on the assists, obviously there are a lot coming from the corners. If you like different zones, we allow for the Pep Guardiola zones as well, so you can see where they're working the ball up. Again, left to right, shot assists. Similarly, these are the chances created. against AC Milan. So this is going right to left. You see that a lot of teams work the ball or try to work the ball up the left side more against AC Milan. Down here we have just sort of the maps associated with, goals, shots on target. Again, we can look at it as like a zonal framework, or we can look at the actual raw XY coordinates for the various goals. Similarly, on their goals conceded, we have the same type of map. Now, one thing that I will mention up here is if we were scouting the team, we would probably look, most people, particularly most people in the U.S., are going to know that Christian Pulisic is one of the best players for Milan last couple seasons. So if you were scouting them, you might want to isolate who is a threatening player on the other team, so Leao or Pulisic. And then once we identify those players that we deem particularly threatening, we can go over into our player analysis portion of the map, and that will be part of the second video here that we look at in a second.